Legendary actor Sir Sean Connery is broadly called the first actor to portray James Bond, and he went directly to megastar in the subsequent 7 installments of the film. However, these days a few secrets and techniques approximately his existence had been discovered, which has shocked his adoring fanatics. Permits take a deep dive into the known and unknown components of Sean Connery's life, born as Thomas Sean Connery on the Royal Maternity Hospital in Edinburgh, Scotland on August 25, 1930. He became named after his paternal grandfather. His mother and father had his brother Neil shortly after their father changed into Joseph Connery, a factory employee and driver, and their mother became Euphemia McBain Emlan, a purifier. Connery was of Scottish descent, had a Christian background, and had a Roman Catholic father and a Protestant mum. He and his brother grew up in wide variety. 176 Fountain Bridge. It no longer exists, as the block has been demolished. Connery became very small in fundamental college, but grew hastily via age 12, attaining a top of 6'2" through age 18 due to his negative historical past and his dad and mom. Financial struggles. Connery could not have a formal training. He stopped schooling on the age of 9 and had to begin working to help provide for the own family. His first task as a toddler became as a milkman with Cuthbert's Cooperative Society in 2009. Connery recalled a conversation in a taxi when I took a taxi at some point of a current Edinburgh Film Festival. The motive force became surprised that I could position the call to every avenue we passed. How come, he requested, as a boy I used to supply milk round here in 1946 proper after World War II. Connery decided to join the Royal Navy. It turned into, while there he obtained 2 superb tattoos. Those were important to Connery because it said on his professional internet site, not like many tattoos, his were now not frivolous. His tattoos mirror 2 of his lifelong commitments, his circle of relatives and Scotland, 1 tattoo. His attribute to his dad and mom and reads M and Dad. And the opposite is self-explanatory. Scotland. For all time he skilled in Portsmouth at the Naval Gunner College and in an anti-aircraft crew. He become later given the rank of An in a position seaman on HMS Formidable. However, in 1949, Connery changed into discharge from provider due to medical headaches. He was recognized with duodenal ulcer, a generational illness. This is shriveled by using the adult males inside the own family after his discharge. He back to casual work. He did extraordinary kinds of jobs to make ends meet, from working as a lorry motive force to a lifeguard at Portobello swimming baths as a laborer, and as an artist's model for the Edinburgh College of Art. He turned into a coffin polisher for some time earlier than moving directly to the jobs, but venturing into modeling turned into profitable at the time as he turned into paid 15 shillings an hour artist Richard DeMarco, a student at the time, who painted several early snapshots of Connery, described him as very immediately barely shy too beautiful for words, a digital Adonis. He started out constructing his frame while he became 18, and in 1951 he educated beneath Ellington, a former gymnasium teacher in the British Army. He as soon as contested for Mr. Universe, although the genuine 12 months varies from different reports. Connor's respectable internet site states he contested in 1950 and ranked 1 to 3. Other resources state he contested in 1953 and ranked 1 to 3 within the junior magnificence. Unable to compete in the tall man type, Con was soon discouraged from bodybuilding because he often lost to Americans in opposition because, in their muscle and size, he complained that they wouldn't take part in athletic activity like he would, which might cause them to lose muscle tissues, and without a doubt he became a soccer lover. Having performed for Bonnie Rig Rose as a child, he obtained a tribulation to play with Estef, and even, as on excursion, he performed in a neighborhood healthy towards a group controlled by using Matt Busby, a former manager of Manchester United. Report state Busby became impressed with his physical prowess and provided Connery an agreement worth $25 every week, equal to 882 lbs in 2023 right away after their creation. Connery remembers, I realized that a pinnacle elegance footballer may be over the hill with the aid of the age of 30, and I changed into already 23. I determined to come to be an actor, and it grew to become out to be considered one of my greater, shrewd Movements at the beginning, Connery helped out behind the curtain on the King's Theatre in Past Due 1951 to complement his profits, all through a bodybuilding competition held in London in 1953. One of the competitors noted that auditions had been being held for a production of South Pacific, where Connery landed a small component as one among the CB's refrain boys. Whilst the manufacturing reached Edinburgh, he was given the part of Marine CPL Hamilton Steeves and become reading two of the juvenile leads, and his revenue was raised from £2 to £14.10 shillings. Every week the production lower back the following are out of popular demand, and Connery changed into promoted to the featured position of Lieutenant Buzz Adams, which Larry Hagman had portrayed inside the West End, even as taking pictures the movie Connery stayed in Edinburgh. He changed into a target of the Valdor Gang, one of the maximum infamous gangs in the city. The primary time he changed into a takedvia, them changed into in a billiard hall, where he hindered them from stealing his jacket. Whilst he left the hall on his way domestic, he was followed through 6 contributors of the gang. Connery subtly LED them to a 15T excessive balcony on the Palais D. There he single-handedly released an assault in opposition to the group contributors, grabbing one by means of the throat and every other by using the biceps and cracking their heads together. After that fight, he become handled Ed with great appreciate by the gang and gained a reputation as a difficult man over the length of manufacturing at the Opera House in Manchester. This become during Christmas in 1954. Connery advanced interest in theatre through the help of an American actor, Robert Henderson lent Connery copies of Ibsen works Hettegabler, The Wild Duck, and Whilst We Dead Awaken. He additionally endorsed him to look at works of famous writers like P.R. Tolstoy, Joyce S.B., and some others. Robert recommended him to take speaking classes and even helped him secure parts on Thermav Vale Theatre in London. It wasn't this first time. Filming, he was an additional in Herbert Wilcox's 1954 musical Lilacs in the Spring along Errol Flynn and Anna Neagle. Although Connery turned into enlisted as an additional, he wasn't financially strong and had to babysit for journalist Peter Noble and his spouse actress Marianne as a part-time babysitter. He earned 10 shills in keeping with nighttime on a fateful night. Connery met Hollywood actress Shelley Winters at Noble's residence. She described Connery as son of the tallest and most fascinating and masculine Scotsman she had ever seen, and later spent many evenings with the Connery brothers drinking beer. Connery became residing at TV presenter Lou Gardner's house for the duration of this era. Robert became out to be an actual friend and helper of Connery. He helped him land a position in a £6 per week Q theatre production of Agatha Christie's Witness for the prosecution, at some point of which he met and became pals with fellow Scot Ian Bannon. This function was followed by using point of departure in A Witch in Time at Q, a function as Pentheus contrary Yvonne Mitchell inside the Bakey at the Oxford Playhouse, and a position contrary Jill Bennett in Eugene O'Neill's play. Anna Christie at some point of his time at the Oxford Theatre gained a brief element as a boxer in the TV collection The Square Ring before being directed by Canadian director Alvin Roth. Alvin gave him more than one role in The Condemned, which was shot on location in Dover, Kent. In 1956, Connery seemed inside the theatrical production of Epitaph and played a minor position as a hoodlum inside the Ladies of the Manor episode of the BBC television police collection Dixon of Dock. Inexperience, this allowed him to act in small television components in Sailor of Fortune and the Jack Benny program, a special episode filmed in Europe. Connor's step forward turned into his position as British secret agent James Bond. He failed to want to decide to a film collection, however understood that if the movie succeeded, his profession could substantially advantage way to Dana Broccoli's spouse of producer Albert Cubby. Broccoli Connery was capable of land the role that would trade his profession. It turned into suggested that she became the one who persuaded her husband that Connery was the precise choice. The creator of the individual, James Bond Ian Fleming, doubted Connor's casting, announcing, "He is not what I anticipated of James Bond appearance seems, and I'm seeking out Commander Bond, and now Notan overgrown stuntman," adding that Connery is muscular, 62, and a Scot was unrefined, however, by the have an effect on of his lady friend Blanche Blackwell, who advised him Connery had the considered necessary sexual charisma. Fleming modified his mind after the A Success Medical Dr. No premier he turned into, so impressed he wrote Connor's heritage into the individual in his 1964 novel, You Only Live Twice. Fleming wrote that Bond father became Scottish and from Glencoe in the Scottish Highlands among 1962 and 1967 Connery. Played 007 in Dr. No from Russia with Love Goldfinger Thunderball, and also You Best Live 2 times the first 5 Bond movies produced through Eon Productions, after departing from the function Connery again for the 7th movie, Diamonds Are All the Time. In 1971, Connery made his very last appearance as Bond in Never Say Never Again, a 1983 remake of Thunderball produced by means of Jack Schwartzman's Talia movie. All 7 movies have been commercially a hit. James Bond as portrayed by means of Connery become selected as the 33 finest hero in cinema history with the aid of the American Film Institute. His great performance as Bond owes a good deal to stylistic tutelage from director Terence Young, who helped polish him at the same time as the usage of his physical grace and presence for the action, Lois Maxwell, who played Miss Cash. Peeney associated that Terence took Sean below his wing. He took him to dinner, confirmed him how to walk, how to talk, even how to consume. The tutoring changed into a success. Connery acquired lots of fan letters per week after Dr. No's commencing, and he have become a main intercourse symbol in film after the discharge of the film Dr. No in 1962. The road Bond, James Bond have become a catchphrase in the lexicon of Western popular culture. Movie critic Peter Bradshaw writes it's miles the most well-known self-advent from any man or woman in film history. Connery carried it off with icily disdainful fashion in full evening, get dressed with a cigarette hanging from his lips. That vent became a type of venture or seduction absolutely addressed to an enemy. In the early 60s, Connor's James Bond became approximately as risky and horny because it got on display the filming of Thunderball in 1965. Connor's life turned into in-risk inside the sequence with the sharks in Emilio Largo's pool all through the filming of Thunderball in 1965. Connor's lifestyles was in risk in the collection with the sharks in Emilio Largo's pool he had been worried about. This danger, while he read the script, Connery insisted that Ken Adam build onique plexiglass partition in the pool. However, this became now not a hard and fast structure, and one of the sharks controlled to skip via it. He had to abandon the pool straight away. Despite the fact that Bond had made him a celebrity, Connery grew bored with the role in the pressure the franchise put on him, saying, I am uninterested right here with the complete Bond bit, and I have always hated that rattling. James Bond, I'd like to kill him. Michael Caine became amongst Connor's closest pals. Caine said of the scenario, if you were his buddy. In the one's early days, you failed to raise the situation of Bond he become, and is a far better actor than just playing James Bond. However, he became synonymous with Bond. He'd be taking walks down the street, and those could say, appearance there may be. James Bond that become especially upsetting to him while making the Bond movies. Connery also starred in other films consisting of Alfred Hitchcock's 1964 Marnie and the following 12 months Sidney Lumet's The Hill, which film critic Peter Bradshaw regards as his 2 greatest non-Bond picks from the 1960s within the mid-60s. Connery played golfing with Scottish industrialist Ian Maxwell Stewart, a connection which gave Connery the risk to direct and providing the documentary movie The Bowler and the Bunnet in 1967. The film described the Fairfield experiment, a new approach to industrial members of the family performed on the Fairfield Shipbuilding and Engineering Enterprise Glasgow. At some point of the 1960s, the test became initiated by way of Stewart and supported via George Brown, the primary secretary in Harold Wilson's cupboard in 1966. Connor's later films protected numerous field workplace and essential disappointments together with First Nighttime, Just Purpose, The Avengers, and The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. However, he obtained high-quality reviews for his performance in Finding Forrester. He also acquired a Crystal Globe for notable artistic contribution to world cinema. INA 2003 UK ballot carried out by Channel 4. Connor become ranked 8th on their listing of the 100 greatest movie stars. The failure of The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen become specifically irritating for Connery. He sensed at some point of taking pictures that the manufacturing was going off the rails and introduced that the director Stephen Norrington should be locked up for insanity. Connery spent tremendous attempt in seeking to salvage the film through the enhancing procedure in the long run, deciding to retire from acting as a substitute, then undergo such stress ever once more. He became down the function of Gandalf in the Lord of the Rings movies, pronouncing "he did not understand," apprehend the script that turned into reportedly supplied $30 million, use along with 15% of the global box office receipts, which could have earned him $450 million. He also grew to become down the possibility to appear as Albus Dumbledore inside the Harry Potter collection and the architect in the Matrix trilogy in 2005. He recorded voiceovers for the From Russia with Love Online game with recording producer Terry Manning. Inside the Bahamas and furnished his likeness, Connery said he changed into satisfied the producers Electronic Arts had approached him to voice Bond after receiving the American Film Institute's Lifetime Achievement Award at the 8th of June 2006. He confirmed his retirement from acting. Connor's disillusionment with Thaddeus now making movies in Hollywood become mentioned as a reason for his choice to retire on June 7, 2007. He denied rumors that he could see him within the 4th Indiana Jones film, pronouncing, "Retirement is just too much, damned a laugh." In 2010, a bronze bust sculpture of Connery turned into located in Tallinn, Estonia, outside the Scottish club, whose club consists of Estonian Scot ales and a handful of expatriate Scots. In 2012, Connery in brief came out of retirement to voice the name individual in the Scottish lively movie. Sir Billy Connery served as executive producer for an accelerated 80-minute model far from the camera. Fanatics got to realize that he turned into a supporter of the Scottish football club Celtic FC, having been brought to the club by using his father, a lifelong fan of the crew. Later in existence, Connery switched his loyalty to Celtic's sour rival Rangers FC after he became near pals with the group's chairman, David Murray. He was an eager golfer delivered to the sport with the aid of his friend Ian Stewart, English expert golfer. Peter Allis gave Connery golfing lessons before the filming of the 1964 James Bond film Goldfinger, which concerned a scene wherein Connery, as Bond, performed golfing against gold magnate Auric Goldfinger at Stoke Park Golf Club in Buckinghamshire. Report foremost championship winner and golf course clothier Jack Nicklaus stated, "He loved the game of golfing. Sean become a quite darn precise golfer. And we performed collectively several times in May 1993. Sean and mythical driver Jackie Stewart helped me open our design of the PGA Centenary course at Glen Eagles in Scotland regarding romantic relationships throughout the mid-1950s manufacturing of South Pacific." Connery dated Carol Soule, a Jewish darkish-haired beauty with a ballerina's discern. However, their relationship failed to remaining because of her circle of relatives' objection. He then dated Julie Hamilton, daughter of documentary filmmaker and feminist Jill Craigie. Given Connor's rugged appearance and difficult attraction, Hamilton initially thought he become an appalling individual and changed into not drawn to him until she noticed him in a kilt, putting forward him to be the most lovely issue she had ever seen in her lifestyles. He additionally shared a mutual appeal with jazz singer Maxine Daniels, whom he met even as running in theater. He made a pass at her, but she told him she became already fortuitously married with a daughter. Connery changed into married to actress Diana Salento from 1962 to 1974. Although they separated in 1971 that they had a son, actor Jason Joseph, Connery changed into separated inside the early 70s whilst he dated Dean Cannon. Jill St. John, Lana Wood, Carol Mallory, and Magda Konopka. He remarried French-Moroccan painter Micheline Roab Brun from 1975 until his dying outdoor acting he became, additionally, exceptionally seemed by means of human beings for his excellence in other elements of existence. He turned into presented an honorary rank of Shodan First Dan in Kyokushin Karate. The Queen kenned him at an investor ceremony at Holy Rood Palace in Edinburgh on the 5th of July 2000. He had been nominated for a knighthood in 1997 and 1998. However, because of his political beliefs, he became denied until 2000. At this stage of achievement, it have become smooth for Connor's secrets to leak out in her 2006 autobiography Cento. One of his romantic institutions alleged that Connery had to bust her mentally and physically. At some point of their courting, he had to cancel an appearance on the Scottish Parliament in 2006 due to controversy over his alleged guide of the abuse of ladies. He denied the claim, However, he informed Playboy Mag in 1965, I do not assume there is something mainly incorrect in hitting a girl, though I do not endorse. You do it in the identical way you hit a person, he changed into additionally suggested to have stated to Vanity Fair in 1993, there are ladies who take it to the wire, that is what they are searching out, the final disagreement they want. Asmac later in 2006, Connery became stated to have he failed to trust that any degree of abuse of ladies become ever justified under any instances during his marriage. Tomicalene, it became revealed that he had an affair with the singer and songwriter Lindsay DePaul in the overdue 80s. She later stated she regretted the affair. Now, not because he turned into married, however, due to his perspectives concerning domestic violence. Aside from the debatable stance he had on a way to deal with women, Connery became concerned in politics his Scottish roots, and his reports in filming in Glasgow's shipyards in 1966 inspired him to turn out to be a member of the centre-left Scottish Countrywide Birthday Party SNP, which helped Scottish independence from the United Kingdom in 2011. Connery said the bowler and the bunnet turned into simply the beginning of the adventure that could result in my long affiliation with the Scottish country Wide Party. He supported the celebration each financially and through non-public appearances. In 1967, he wrote to George Leslie, the SNP candidate inside the 1967 Glasgow Pollock by-election, pronouncing, I am convinced that with our sources and skills we are greater than able to constructing a wealthy, lively and modern-day self-governing Scotland, wherein we are able to all take satisfaction, and which will deserve the honour respect of other nations. His investment of the SNP ceased in 2001. Whilst the United Kingdom Parliament passed regulation prohibiting overseas funding of political activities within the UK, there were allegations against him as a tax exile. Khan launched files in 2003 displaying he had paid £3.7 million in UK taxes among 1997 and 1998, and among 2002 and 2003 critics pointed out that had he been constantly dwelling inside the UK for tax purposes, his tax rate could have been far better in the run-up to the 2014 Scottish independence referendum. His brother Neil stated Connery could not come to Scotland to rally independent supporters considering his tax exile repute significantly restrained the number of days he could spend inside Thusa after Connery bought his Marbella villa in 1999. Spanish government launched a tax invasion investigation alleging that the Spanish treasury were defrauded of $5 million. Connery was sooner or later cleared by using officials, but his wife and 16 others have been charged with attempting to defraud the Spanish treasury. On October 31st, 2020, aged 90, Connery died in his sleep at his domestic in the Lyford Cay community of Nassau within the Bahamas. His loss of life turned into announced by way of his own family and Eon Productions, although they did no longer divulge become the reason of dying. His son Jason stated he were unwell for a few time an afternoon. Later his widow found out he'd dementia in his very last years. Connor's loss of life certificate become acquired via TMZ a month after his demise, displaying the cause of dying became pneumonia and breathing failure, and the time of loss of life become indexed as 30 Meiesquiesturus. His remains were cremated, and the ashes have been scattered in Scotland at undisclosed locations. In 2022 and 2004, a poll in the UK. Sunday Herald identified Connery as the best dwelling Scot, and a 2011 Euromillion survey named him Scotland's best dwelling national treasure. In 2024, the Edinburgh International Film Festival mounted an annual award in Connor's honour, the Shaw Connery Prize for Characteristic Movie Making. Excellence is a prize of $50,000 given to the makers of a film selected by way of audience vote from a quick listing of 10 feature movies that obtain their world premieres on the competition every 12 months.